So one thing that's really important to understand with your health and with your healthcare, whether it's chiropractic or other health actions that you're taking, is that health does not happen in a vacuum. Health does not happen in a vacuum. So let me explain to you what I mean. I have people come in and let's say they're getting adjusted on a regular basis, they're getting adjusted every single week, they're doing great. And they notice one day I'm adjusting them, I'm doing more adjustments or I'm doing different adjustments. And I might ask them some questions. They'll say, well, I didn't do anything since I saw you last time. I didn't have any different injuries or any different stresses. And one thing you have to understand, unfortunately, today's environment, today's world is very stressful. And I don't necessarily mean emotionally stressful, although that's a component of it. So we have physical stress, chemical stress, and emotional stress. So if you take off, let's say you're in a plane or you're a pilot, and you take off, and let's say that plane has the capability of traveling 300 miles per hour. And it takes off, but when it takes off, it's got a 50-mile-an-hour headwind. Well, that plane's going to travel obviously much slower. Or let's say it's got a 50-mile-an-hour tailwind. Well, it's going to travel much faster. So a plane never goes in a vacuum. You're going to have winds from different angles. You're going to have thermals that are going to affect the lift of the plane. So there's all these different factors. And if you're a pilot, you've got to take all those things into an account. You can't just assume the conditions are going to be neutral because they never are. And it's the same thing when it comes to our health. So you could be doing everything, you think you're doing everything right, exercising, eating, but you're super stressed about your job or your family, right? All those things are factors in terms of your health. Now, I don't want you to be overwhelmed, but I want you to understand that you can control what you can control. We can control what we eat. We can control about what we think about, which is a more challenging thing. We can control or at least decrease the physical stress on our body through moving throughout the day. For doing your spinal rehab, this is why I harp on your spinal rehab so often, because the physical stress is there. It's just like, yeah, I didn't eat any sugar today, but guess what? You ate things that are going to cause decay to your teeth. So you've got to brush your teeth on an ongoing basis. So we would never think that we could work out and get in shape and then never work out again and stay in shape, right? Something called the second law of thermodynamics. There's always this stress in our body. Or the same thing with brushing your teeth. We would not expect that we got our teeth cleaned and then we would never have to brush them again. Again, because there's ongoing stress. Or we plant a garden. You're going to have to weed it. You're going to have to make sure it's got sunlight and water. There's ongoing maintenance. So with your health, people say, I would never go to the chiropractor. I just go and my back hurts. Well, that's great if your back is hurting, but only about 7 to 10% of our nerves carry pain signals. So the reason I'm bringing this up, I want you to remember that you don't have to quote unquote do anything to injure your spinal nervous system. It just happens, potentially can happen from life. And it doesn't mean that we're weak and all broken down, but the more subluxated your spine is to begin with, the more stress is getting impacted. Just like that weak link in the chain. If you've got a really damaged chain, you put a little stress on it, it's going to break really easily, right? The stronger that chain is, you could put a lot of stress on it. So the more balanced your spine and nervous system is, the more stress that you can adapt to. I'm not suggesting you want to increase your stress levels, but just understand that health doesn't happen in a vacuum. So you need, or disease doesn't happen in a vacuum, meaning you have to constantly pursue health, but the benefits for that are huge. So don't look at it as a negative thing. You get all these benefits by pursuing health, by getting your spinal nervous system adjusted on an ongoing basis, by eating healthy foods, by doing something with your mindset, meditation, breathing, mindfulness, prayer, whatever it is for you on an ongoing basis, not just when you're in tough situations, but on an ongoing, regular basis. Pursue health, and we're here to help you and support that in that journey.